Well, you're right on the button. Can you still hear me? My audio has changed.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Anyway, we call them safety Sallies. I mean, there's a bunch of little, I don't know who they are. I was fixing to say little old women that sit around.
Oh, wait. You've got terms for them.
Yeah.
Start over. You've got terms for them. Safety Sallies.
Yeah. They sit around, they sit in their armchair and they sit there and think of ways that you should be doing stuff. You got to do it this way. It's just like when I'm showing a gun online here. Did you safety check that? It's like, look, there's a camera. The bullet can't go through that camera and get you. Don't you worry about it. I feel safe with it because I know what I'm doing. I've been messing with these things since I was 8 years old. Don't worry about what I'm doing. I'm going to show anyway. It's little things like that. People. I think they just sit around and watch soap operas all day long. Ain't got nothing better to do than think of some ways that they can tell somebody else how to mind their own business. That's where that's another way we get out of control government.
These are armchair Sallies.
Mm-hmm. Armchair elitists.
This is the nanny state. Well. I've told the story of I had a dog, a lab. He's dead now. He lived about 14, named Helmet. And he climbed out of the fence one time and got hit. And so his leg was paralyzed. They wanted to chop it off. I said no. Most of the feeling came back, but he'd have to swing it to walk. And I'd get henpecked so bad that I had to give him away to folks that had property just so I wouldn't get henpecked so hard. I mean, I got henpecked so hard that I was beating his arm and left stickers in it when I went out that I had to give the dog to my parents that had property because the hens hit me and hit me hard. Folks, have you lost your power? I just saw an article like a week and a half ago that one of the people that's on the doomsday preppers that I hear all this hype about, it had his gun taken extrajudicially, so I got him on. And every point he brings up, I start chomping at the bit because all the points he's making, I can finish the sentence, he can finish my sentence. We've just got him for 5 more minutes and then a break and then 5 more minutes and then Sheriff Mack at the 8 after segment's going to be in studio with us. But wow, I didn't know they had a name for it. I'm declaring war on safety Sallies because and it's men and women. They are always in your face. They always mess with you. They always make stuff up. They never know what they're talking about. And you're just sitting there on the side of the beach, and there's little tiny waves. And your kids are sitting there digging in the sand. They're like, that's dangerous water. That's dangerous water. And you're looking at them going, what? These are the people, if you have a gun in the rack of your truck, even in rural areas now, people can't do that because they call the cops, and the cops respond. Somebody puts a gun in the back of their car to go to the shooting range. Cops get called, even in rural areas. I saw a gun. There's a safety Sally driving through your country area. And the cops respond to the safety Sallies. The safety Sallies think it's illegal. I've seen cases where people are branding cows at a feedlot, and people are driving by and see it and call the police. And the police show up. I've seen cases, famous cases, where somebody's got a rat in their backyard, even in rural areas, in their gardens. They put a rat trap out, and then the government comes and charges them with animal cruelty. And you're like, that's not serious. Yeah, it is. All over the U.S. now, they're announcing, started in Chicago last year, you can't pack your own child's lunch because the school says you can't be trusted. It's really about them making you buy their GMO food. In closing, in this little segment, the next, where is your case going? Give us your YouTube channel, other tidbits you'd like to point out. But we've got to, that's what the New World Order is a bunch of criminal social engineers with an army of control freak safety Sallies, armchair safety Sallies, who are all dumber than a box of rocks and have the same little gibbering power trip eyes, and they want to henpeck you and henpeck you hard.
Okay. I have gathered an attorney for my personal stuff and maybe another attorney for the civil stuff. And I appreciate the donations I've got, but I know it looks like a lot. But when you consider attorneys these days are like $200 to $400 an hour, it's not that much. So on my YouTube channel, I do have a donate link. Anything extra will go to helping fight this for everybody. This is one law that I would love.
You know what you need donated? Yeah. What you need donated is expertise. There are so many lawyers. There are so many Second Amendment lawyers. There are so many people that could file the paperwork for the filing fee. Now, you have gone to the NRA and others. Have they helped you or not?
The NRA said there was a fund that if my attorney won, they could get out of. I've got attorneys that are doing for the filing fee right now, but we don't know how much things are going to go. It's like just the filing fee is $100, so they're win $100 worth of donation money right there. But like I say, I do a daily prepper report, which what I do is basically watch all the news and say, well, okay, things don't look like they're going to go to too bad tomorrow. My YouTube channel is Sarti1, like it's my first initial, last name, and the number 1. So anyway, you know what? You were just covering. My favorite one is when we were children, we could ride in the back of a pickup truck in the country, and now that's gone because of the safety sallies. That's why, what happened to, what happened to our freedom? What happened to it? It was like, in my lifetime, it
meanwhile, the
disappeared.
safety sallies, though, they want to make you take deadly vaccines and eat GMO, though. Yeah, the control freaks are destroying every basic liberty in the name of safety, like the state police. We're public safety. And then, safety. There's no Bill of Rights or Constitution or private property rights or free choice if it's safety. Meanwhile, they push an entire agenda that is completely unsafe. We're talking to David Sarti, one of the folks that's on the show or been on the show. Preppers, doomsday preppers. The truth is the doomsday situation is nuclear war. It's solar flare, things like that. We should always be prepared. That's just common sense. The government's prepared, but says that we're kooky to be prepared. And I think we're going to be here after 2012. I think everything's going to be all right if the globalists don't cause a problem. Governments, democide, #1 cause of death in the 20th century was government, 260 plus million people. David, what's your view on crises or doomsday scenarios? Why are you prepping?
Well, it goes back to a long time ago. I mean, even when I was younger, I was in the Boy Scouts, you always prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Now, I consider a worst-case scenario would be to this country, would be an EMP because everything runs on electronics. The trucks are computerized. Without and I consider that worst-case scenario for us. So I try to lean my stuff toward that. So if I'm prepared for that, that means ice storms and other little, if the Madrid fault goes, I mean, if any of that stuff happens, all the stuff I prepared for EMP will work just as well for the other. The big thing you have to know is your location. And if you live on the coast of Florida and you're only 2 or 3 foot above sea level, you need to have a bug out plan. Okay, if you live next to a volcano, you need to have a bug out plan. And a lot of it is knowing the dangers in the area where you are located. So that's my.
I agree with you, and the reason the system hates this, I want to get your take on this, is because anytime we start thinking for ourselves and being wily, that's called not being domesticated. They want us just these mindless, domesticated creatures who don't think about threats because we'll recognize the government's a big threat as well. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. On my daily prepper report, the highest rated threat to the American people today is the government. It's the viral government. It's the continuously, it's like a parasite that's going to consume the host. And that's the biggest threat to our economy and everything today in the whole world is this viral government, completely out of control growth of the government. And it's not just the government. I mean, the federal government. You see, while this dog and pony show for president's going on, most people in the country are ignoring their state and local governments. You got to watch it because the schools are out of control with their spending. I tried to give my school some ink pens, boxes of pens once. They had to look at it and make sure it didn't have any writing on it. What difference does it make? I got it out of a landfill. They were throwing this stuff away. Give it to the schools. They couldn't take it because it had advertisement on the pencils. You know, it's stupid stuff like this where we got this viral government going out of control, and the rules and regulations. I mean, they're passing bills that the common person can't even read anymore. I mean, they're like, what, 10-pound documents for a bill on how to build a railroad crossing or something? That's just stupid. I mean, we've got, I don't know, it's just out of control. And
well, we've got a giant group of bureaucrats who want to just create more and more to make their name, and it just never ends. They've always got new excuses, and they call us extremists because we don't want to be their slaves. And you're right, I saw a big poll out. The American people see the government as the biggest threat, more than, quote, Al-Qaeda. The people are waking up. David Sarti, thanks for joining us. Try to shed some more light on your case, because it's happening to hundreds of thousands of others. They'll be back with Sheriff Richard Mack straight ahead. We are now into hour number 3. We've had a jam-packed transmission so far today, obviously. I want to go into a host of issues with Sheriff Richard Mack today. He had one of the most important landmark Second Amendment cases back in the mid-1990s. It was also a 10th Amendment states' rights case, and the Supreme Court ruled the federal government could not have the waiting period to buy firearms, that it was a restriction on the Second Amendment. Then they just brought in the instant check, which became basically an instant ban. But in that ruling, it clearly states what we already knew. The feds are out of their jurisdiction when it comes to the Second Amendment trying to restrict law-abiding citizens. Now, since then, Sheriff Mack has worked to get sheriffs informed about their duty in the Bill of Rights Constitution. In the old days, when the feds tried to come to your office or business, they brought the police with them. In fact, still in Austin, when I've had the FBI visit before, because they had a subpoena, some idiot was threatening people on the message board or whatever, and they wanted to find the IP address, they had local police with them. ATF once showed up, had local police with them. More and more, they don't have local police. So the entire jurisdiction is being erased, and the feds are now involved in everything they weren't involved in just 20 years ago. The TSA isn't even sworn peace officers, and they're doing things the FBI won't do, going in your pants. The government just created a new agency because they couldn't get the FBI to do things like that. They just hire a bunch of brown shirts that don't know any better. This is a power grab, and now from Dallas to Boston, there's TSA on the ground coming up and grabbing you and your family. You thought you would just not fly? They're coming after everybody. It's a 10th Amendment power grab. It's a 4th Amendment power grab. And so he had a big event, and over 100 sheriffs showed up, and he wants to start having more of them just to read from the Bill of Rights Constitution, to talk about his book, The Sheriff, America's Last Hope, Ultimate Enforcers of the Constitution, Protectors Against Government Tyranny, America's Last Hope, Brave Oath Keepers. That's the Denver Post. Emerging movement encourages sheriffs to act as shields against federal tyranny. The 100 or so sheriffs gathered in Las Vegas hotel ballroom 2 weeks ago learned that some weighty titles have been attached to their stars they wear on their chest. So it's a condescending thing, making fun of pointing out that sheriffs are the elected people, protectors, that they are the folks that are there to call out the citizens for aid if needed. This is constitutional government, but they make a big joke out of it because the feds are trying to have the states through the cities absorb the counties, which is completely backwards. Ultimate enforcers of the Constitution.